Hello, everyone. We are back with another ePilot podcast recording. I am Vlad Krishan. I'm from Romania, actually working at ePilot from Timișoara remotely. I'm a dev lead. I've been with ePilot for some time now. I always need to start calculating, but having a blast over here. I'm leading Team Alpha on the user experience for power users, for configuring users and executing users. Have some bigger topics on our plates like workflows, automation, partnering, webhooks, and a lot. Nodes recently as well. And yeah, we're pushing the efficiency of daily tasks for all of our users.
Yeah. And I'm Jakub from Slovakia. I'm a product engineer. Hasn't been with the company for as long as Vlad, only like 9 months or so. In your case, more like 5 years. But we focus on portals. That's end customer portal where people go to put in their meter reading or check their bill, stuff like that. Or installer portals, installers, professionals who come and install your wallbox. And we focus a lot on simplicity just getting things done.
Welcome to the podcast for product engineers.
We are going to talk about crafting good taste in UI and product feel. Full disclosure alert, we are product engineers, actually team leads, not designers. I don't want to get on anybody's nerves or strong opinions or anything like that, but it will be a deep dive on our opinion about what does good taste mean, product feel, product experience, UX, UI a little bit, and why us? Because we have some strong opinions, and obviously the designers, sooner or later, and other front-end people and specialize in this area will also complement our opinion. I want to get it started with maybe a first question. What is even good taste? Jakub, you want to start a little bit with some brainstorming?
Yeah. Good taste, that's a pretty broad question. There are different ways we could interpret it, right? But the simple explanation, at least for me, the way I feel about it is that the product has to get the job done, but also it must make you feel good, right? And how do you do that? Like, you have to develop a certain taste. You need to know how to design that, how to bring that experience to life. And yeah, that's just good taste. It's a pretty tough one to even explain, because how do you explain taste? You cannot explain taste. It's one of it's really tough. But what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. For me, also taste and how do you explain taste? It's definitely, you can talk about subjectivism and universal taste, right? So if it's subjective taste or universal taste, and all of us are different, that makes us special. I think all of us like different things, different colors, and I think that's great. However, there is sort of a universal thing, especially for some apps and areas, especially in ePilot's case, the energy world. Right, we have the standard ERPs, right? The enterprise resource planning, the complex stuff that gets the job done. However, in ePilot, we focus on the customer, we focus on the experience as well. So from our side, it's definitely more on the artistic. How does it feel? The journeys, right? The end customer portal is something that you, Jakub, are a champion in, and you drive it in ePilot as well. So that experience for the end customer, it's different, right? We have the end customers. We have our customers, which is the grid providers, the enablers for the new energy transition. That look and feel, that taste needs to be a little bit more different for each one of them. Let's talk about that one maybe a little bit. How do you see between those two, what are the qualities, the pluses and minuses? What are you pushing for when talking about end customer? What are you pushing for when talking about the normal grid providers? What's your take on this one?
Yeah, that's why I think us discussing this is super exciting, because we have completely different user bases. Your user base is focused, those are basically power users, right? They use the platform every day. They probably need to do their tasks very efficiently, right? And so we can maybe afford some compromises in terms of, for example, simplicity, right? But my user base we focus on right now, those are users that visit the portal maybe once a year, twice a year, or recently, fun story, CS came to me and they said, hey, we have this problem. We need to enable login without any email address. And I was like, why?
Okay.
And he was, they don't have any email. our installers don't have any email.
Oh,
So you have older generation of installers without any email, right?
yeah. How do you do it? Phone number?
No, I mean, we set up a workaround for them so they can still use emails. But it basically tells you that those are not power users,
Yeah.
right? And so you need to make the experience, you need to basically get out of their way to some extent, right? You need to make it very simple. And so our user base is completely different.
Yeah. Maybe I can say a few words about my user base as well, which are sort of the power users. Mine are the grid providers, right? The people that know their industry, that tackle with it, that work in it every day, as opposed to yours. And naturally, for the end user, is something completely different. B2C, it needs to shine. It needs to look good, feel good, have nice colors. You can look at it in the tech, right, history and industry now at this point. You can say that, oh, this website, this experience was done in the 90s, or this was done whatever, and stuff like that, right? But for my experienced users, or for the power users, how we call them, right, it's a whole different ball game. However, you still want to do the experience nice for them as well.
Oh,
yeah, right? You can have the old school, like every font is small. You have to squint your eyes. It used to be on smaller monitors. I believe everyone now has bigger monitors, widescreen. I think it's a normality now for everyone, from TVs to laptops to everything like that. Though we do have some users which are having small screens, so you need to take that into account. Another bigger one is the accessibility laws that are coming into play. We need to cater to that one as well. That sort of is a tangent of the look and feel, the experience and everything like that. But for power users, then I think that over there it's a balance more of utility and efficiency. Sure, if it can look good, that's a bonus. But that's the idea. It needs to be a bonus. If it just looks good and it's a hassle to interact with and do your job, you're probably not doing a good job for power users. But if you can make it look good and it's also super efficient and works in the direction that we wanted it to, I think that's when we have a winning formula, I believe. Yeah.
On our side, of course, now if I will focus on commodity and ECP, so portal where you go to put in your meter reading or check your bills and do stuff like that, and you come there once a year or something. But so you are not a power user. You're just a simple user who needs to get things done pretty quickly. We do focus on simplicity, but still, you mentioned how it feels, right? And feeling is pretty important, especially because with ECPs and commodity, the penetration is like 5% or something like that. It's just very small amount of customers actually have ECP. They use basically self-service, and very large part of customers don't. They just call in, they email the company, or they just go there in person, right? And I feel like there are two reasons to that, or two ways you can make it better. The first one is simplifying things, right? So they don't face any obstacles. That's simplicity. But the second part is feel. You need to make it desirable. Like it needs to look cool. You just want to install it, right? You want to play around with it, and that's for me product feel, and how to make it feel good. And ideally, the experience wouldn't be bad, so that once we somehow convince you that it looks good and you want to try it, it actually also feels good, right? The whole process feels good, and you feel accomplished at the end. You feel like you did something productive. I think the nice balance of simplicity and of the experience feeling good, like that's important for us.
And on the subject of feeling good, I have another strong point I want to touch here with you, which is naturally in our fields it's a little bit different on our features that we're working on or parts of the platform. However, I'm a big fan of, especially from our side, the power user, if we were to deep dive a little bit as well. And here's with designers, and when we have strong opinions as well, designers are doing an awesome job making it pretty. I believe Ben coined the term. I mean, he said like eye candy. It's the first time I heard it, and it makes sense. It so makes sense. Like it's like candy for the eyes, and it looks good and it feels good. However, on the power user side, when I'm talking about efficiency and deep diving into elements, what do you have if you think about it, right? You have like the basic stuff, for example, for a platform that you want to get your job done. And those are, right, we're talking about tables, buttons, filters, sidebar for organizing all your sections of the app, In the journeys, again, it's another game for end customers. But again, coming back to the power user, now we're working on a big pictures with flows. We want to make it a big graph, visualizing all that. We run into all those sorts of challenges. But at the end of the day, 90% of our work, it's still on cards, tables, buttons, rows, columns, fields, inputs, dividing the screen a little bit, everything like that, especially in the power user game, right? So we can focus on that. We can start from that base, just pick something that already looks good so we can piggyback on. We embellish later. We add that candy on top later, everything like that. Designers help us so much with the user experience, so much with, I mean, this is one of my problems though. I look at something and even randomly, I know it looks good and I say, oh, okay, I'm going to do it. And I do it and it doesn't look good. It's fascinating. That's just to not downgrade the magic that designers put in, that they can take even some simple stuff, even like a font or a line or a shadow or a shade of gray, and certainly it looks good. Like, now I get it. Now I cannot do that, or I'll do it in like 3 days for a button, which is ludicrous. But that's for the power user for feeling good, right? If I have those elements, I build on them, I ramp up the feel good process for those, and I make them pretty. But with the end customer, right, with the experience on that front, do you still use all those elements? Do you have some specific ones or some niche ones?
Yeah, we try to simplify things quite a bit with the facelift. This is now not out yet, but we are super excited about this one. Working on it at the moment, and we realized simplifying the number of elements helps because you just as you mentioned, like with power users, you have those typical UI elements that involve, for example, tables, right, or filters. But those provide you with a ton of information, which is great with large screens. You said ultra wide, whatnot, right? Of course. But with end users, it's more about small screens. It's about your smartphone, right? And so there you want to simplify the experience and larger components that provide you with a ton of data, like tables, those are out of question. So we just narrowed it down to just a couple. So you have one field where you can display some data, and then you can enable some edit mode on it, and that's it. And then you have some selector for your active contract, for example, right? And we are able to cover 90% with that, with just like 3 components.
Which is amazing. Yeah. So for the end customer, it isn't that much, right? It's just a couple of components that you can basically do 90% of the work.
And and it's good because you don't have to learn new patterns in the UI as a user. So just quickly picking up on those few patterns in the interface, I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Plus then that new thing that came in as well, which is with the illustrations. Like designer recently introduced and are starting to introduce illustrations in our platform, which I love. I mean, I don't know, they're like a painting for me. They're like the Mona Lisa. Like icons are nice already if you pick a nice set and you make everything complementary with each other. And then the illustration, I mean, there's that saying, right? A picture is like 1,000 words. And it is actually true. And especially on the end customer portal, I saw like even the iterations and even the design, even the sparring, how even in the mobile, right? You show that input, but you also show an image, which makes the world, right?
Oh, yeah.
Whole of mankind is based on imagery at the end of the day.
Yeah, sometimes you need that, as you mentioned, eye candy, right? Sometimes you need those icons and colors and things like that. Yeah, absolutely. It's part of that, part of those hedonistic qualities. Like you make something that looks desirable.
Exactly.
And you mentioned that you have to basically involve designers, right?
Yes.
Because
definitely
they know much more about this than we do. We could play around with the UI for days and it still won't look as good as something they can come up with in like hours, right?
Yeah.
But there are some parts where I feel like designers don't have that much control over, so they design some nice experience, some nice UI layout, whatever, right? And you start implementing it, but you suddenly realize there are a bunch of choices you need to make.
Correct. Yeah.
As an engineer.
Yeah.
And there are some experiences that maybe designers didn't think about or did not design. Like, I don't know, what happens after you interact with the button, right?
Yeah.
How do you make it feel good, right? So stuff like loading states and the button getting disabled and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
there are those small bits and pieces, I think, where you need to have your input as a product engineer as well.
Even more than that, even before starting, how we involve more designers and more, it's at the beginning, we didn't have that many designers. We had, but the resource pool was not that big. So as a product engineer, you also know this, right? We are pushed to not just think about technical services, something you don't see, making it happen. As a product engineer, you think about end-to-end, right? You think about the UI experience, you think about how the user will interact with it, then you think about how we will make it happen. Like with the backend, with the services, with the data, how it gets synced, how it gets from A to B, such and such, processed, everything like that. And starting with that, so you need a little bit of experience how a product might look, even if it's completely like ugly, doesn't matter, right? If it's functional, you already hit the milestone, which is super important. It's functional. The users might hate it, but it's functional. Then we get to the next steps, which is feel good, taste, and everything like that. And then the designers like bring it a home run. Very more beautiful than that. But to answer your question, how do you do it? Yes, definitely. You bring in the designers. Now we have a better collaboration model. We're close as a team. Designers are, they have their own team as well. Product has their own team and customer success, PM, everything like that. But at the end of the day, we're all in the same boat. And we divide our teams such that we collaborate closer, even for different departments. And then with designers is more like they make beautiful mock-ups, beautiful design flows. But as you say, especially on the power user side, right, on the complex features like flows and everything like that, there are so many use cases. If they will sit and draw every single small detail to the T, I guess it will take months just for a simple card iteration. In our case, right, the card iteration that we assign for the task, for example, you can have due dates, you can have assignees, you can have titles, subtitles, duplication of data. How do you show that in the end customer portal, which is your side of the story, right? Then you can have different kind of other actions that just amplify the flows, right? And then naturally designers go over them, and then you're still left in the middle of the battle to just say, okay, sure. We think about it. We talk with the designer. They usually respond very quickly. This is better than that. Good feel, something like that. But other times, and you're right here, you need to go with your intuition. And you go with your intuition. And if you don't know, that's totally cool as well. Just go with whatever makes sense. And if not, the whole internet out there, the whole product, most of the time, to be honest, you're not doing something completely new, right?
Yeah.
You're using a reinvention of the wheel, right? And it's totally good to get some inspiration from, I don't know, even in the phone when we're talking, right? Apple, Android. How many ways can you show a menu? In how many ways can you show a sidebar? In how many, there are iterations and nicer representations of it. But at the end of the day, you piggyback after something, you make it work. And then you bring in, then you raise it in maturity. And then it becomes something more personal, more in vibe with everything, more functioning in the right way. And basically that's more or less how we push any pilot, right? When we don't have enough resources, we push in the right direction, we make it happen, and then we grow it. And it's one of our principles actually, right? Progress over perfection. And that's also something that we need to stand by. We can spend weeks and months perfecting something. But is that actually valuable? Is that actually business-wise a good idea and everything like that? Probably not. So get the value out there, and especially for power users, in our case, to be honest, right? Especially for power users, I think for them it's like 50-50, probably even more in the usability part. I need to make it usable to get my job done. If it's pretty great, if not, I get my job done. If it makes me get my job done sooner, the better, right?
Yeah. There are two parts that you touch on that I would love to pick your brain on a bit more. So the one part is that you mentioned that you don't necessarily need to know how to do some things, or maybe sometimes you don't have the know how to make something feel good, right?
Exactly.
But so my question is, because we talk often about leadership, and so my question is this something you can learn? Or is it something you can maybe show people how to learn? Is this developing a product field, something you can learn?
I will say yes. It also comes with experience. The more products you build, The better you will get, the better you will see patterns. And if you build a table 100 times, I will bet you not that 101 table will not look bad. Also, we don't have that much separation inside our teams and any part that much with front and back end, but we do have specialized people as well. And again, talking purely about technical here, not necessarily designers. And we have people that are strongly opinion like us. We are end-to-end, we are dev leads, and we also have strong opinions of, that doesn't look good, that doesn't feel good, especially when we're thinking all about the flows and how the process is going from left to right and everything like that. But we do have front-end engineers, right? Which are passionate about building the UIs, the buttons, the tables, and then naturally they fall into the I care about making it pretty as well, as much as a designer maybe. I can opinionate I can even experiment and do some designs myself, right? We're not talking here because you need to have specialized people and you need to trust each other, and that's why a designer cannot do the engineering work, and that's why an engineering work cannot be, an engineer cannot do the work of a designer, right? They did studies in that. They know much more theory, much more rules, and even subtle rules, right? Even with the accessibility rules that are coming next years, and we need to prepare ourselves and other stuff like that. You never think about them, especially as an engineer. As a product engineer, for you, is more about getting the job done, the product as a whole. But you do get it. With experience, you do get it. You can say, oh, I can do it without a designer. I can do it without a front-end engineer. I can do it myself, and it will be functional. Maybe. Would it be top-notch? Probably not. Would it look good? With me, it's a lottery, to be honest. If I spend a lot of time, maybe, but even then I can screw up, right? But you're slowly but surely, you can say, okay, I'm proud of this, or you need to face the music and say, yeah, I can try my best as an engineer. I can do anything. I can make it look good. And then I'm like, after a weeks of work, yeah, I need a designer, man. I need a guy that actually knows this and makes this beautiful. I don't know what it does. And you just say, it's magic. It's magic at this point. It's that part of art, which is an art, actually, right? They make things beautiful, and they're like a painter, and they make life more colorful, right? But what do you think about it?
Yeah.
Do you actually... Were you born with it? Did you inherit it?
Yeah.
What happened there?
I feel like this changed as I aged, because like these days I would say I would err on the side of things being pragmatic more than cool or desirable, right? So I focus a lot on the functionality and stuff like that, but I don't focus as much on the feel, I would say, anymore. But as a kid, I went into this industry because I wanted to create cool things. Right.
I can definitely resonate with that.
Yeah, exactly. And so I focused a lot on those parts, but I didn't focus as much on the pragmatic part. But over time I somehow lost that ability, and I realized this is a serious field, right? Things need to work, and it just sometimes feel like we need to channel that inner kid in us, right? And to balance the pragmatic part and that great feel part, right?
Yeah. Sometimes, let's be honest, sometimes I'm confessing now in front of you, but sometimes I'm feeling jealous of you and your team because you have the opportunity to spend more a little bit on the design and make it beautiful. And when it comes to me, more functional and everything like that, even though I can in my field, and we're definitely doing it. But sometimes, as you said, when I was a kid, I looked at apps and I was like, oh, this will be much more awesome if it will be in such color. Or not too long ago, or maybe I'm getting old, who knows, there wasn't the dark mode everywhere, if you remember. No apps had necessarily the dark mode. Then it appeared, then all the apps like, okay, dark mode, or just dark mode. And we were like, that's what I want to do. I want to do an app that has dark mode, and it will be awesome, and people will just use it because it has dark mode. So you can experiment with that, and then wow. But nowadays it's sort of implicit. Dark mode is more of a convenience, to be honest. You're working late, the app should turn a little bit darker to not have that kind of strain on your eyes. So it's ironic how even design and beauty blends with functionality more and more.
Oh, yeah.
Dark mode, at least for me, on my PC, I turned it automatic. At first, I was all dark mode. And in the morning, with the windows open, I couldn't see half the screen, but I was happy. It looked good. Now I'm like, okay, in the morning, white, sure. In the night, black, sure. And it's for my eyes, and I get the best of both worlds. And it depends on my work day. I use it.
Yeah, but it's interesting because that's also an accessibility feature.
Yeah. Exactly.
You don't think about that, but it also just provides better accessibility for the users. Our designer Bernie wouldn't be proud of me if I wouldn't mention accessibility. So here
Oh,
you
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
But no, it's small things. I feel like we finally found a way to make products great as an industry on the UI part as well. Because there were times when we focus a lot, for example, on putting as much information on the screen as possible, right? With all, like we mentioned ERPs, like all ERPs, they were really good at doing this, right? Putting a ton of information on the screen.
I think they're loaded. Yeah. It takes you 5 minutes to stare at the screen. Don't do anything and just let me look in any corner and understand what I'm looking at. Yeah.
And then optimizing just for people with great perception, great eyesight and everything. And but over time we finally reached a point where we address wide area of the market, and I feel like the UIs are getting better and better each day.
Yeah, and the tooling for it, I mean, from a technical perspective, you have all those themes like predefined. You can basically take a theme, just slap some new colors on it. It will feel different. It will feel a little bit custom. Sure, it may be. I mean, everyone, I think, knows the most common probably is material. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the numbers. Probably a little bit. And now Vercel, and with that Shed CN, it's looking more and more like the same. A lot of apps start using it. I think Calendly as well and other apps like that. So they're using unique. And if you're, I mean, even in the past days, right? If you're super serious and corporate that invest money in designers, stuff like everything like that, you have your own base elements library in which you customize. Either you start it from scratch, and you do a theme, you start from there, but you customize it all together. Okay, if the material has border radius 10, I'm gonna do 25. For the big ones, I'm gonna do 50. Whatever, circles, lines, everything like that. So
but usually they get the basics right. Right. So accessibility, for example, is usually decent with them. You don't have to have perfect eyesight because contrast is already fine. Like you mentioned colors, right? With colors, you have to be very careful so that you don't decrease the contrast between the foreground and background, right? Things like that. But usually they try to stop you from hurting yourself, shooting yourself in the foot, right? They usually get the basics right.
Good practices. They come with those good practices in which, hey, we've tested this. There's trust us. Use it. You're not going to get hurt. Exactly. And some of us are like, no, let me get hurt. Let me. I saw a presentation on an, I don't know, Apple product. It looks awesome. You slap it on your screen, looks horrible. Out of place. Everything like that. But what about, that was another thing that we want to talk about, right? Animations. We started a slow slope towards that. I think they're awesome, right? Definitely if you would create like stepping guide, obviously we will start with the end users and when it makes more sense, but also in the configuring user, the power user that has them. What's your take on this? What do you think of animations?
Yeah, animations can be really interesting. They can provide a ton of value, not only hedonistic value where you will feel cool about it, but they can also convey some relations between items.
So functional.
Yeah, they can definitely
enhance functionality a lot.
Yeah,
not just prettiness.
Yeah, they can explain how things relate or how things work. Or of course they can kill some time, right? Because something takes a bit longer. So yes,
that could be a minus, right? If you're putting animations that you have to wait for and just for the sake of prettiness.
Well, but is it for the sake of prettiness only then?
The animations?
Yeah. If you're waiting for something, I feel like it can be a valid thing because some processes just take a bit longer, and there is nothing you can do about it. So you might as well make it engaging and exciting for the user. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, in my mind, there's one moment where you shouldn't have animations, I believe. If the animation is good and nice, it's beautiful, but your app crashes. For me, it's like, oh man, animations, you're like playing on a big leagues. Add them when you're ready.
Yeah.
Don't embellish it on something that is not ready. And it's like, I don't know. It just isn't there, I think, right? So you need to build up for it. That's what I believe. I do believe it embellishes very nicely, more than even like illustrations and animations. Ooh, my inner kid from long ago, which said, I'm going to do the dark mode and those apps matter more to me. He's like saying, now you're getting to the good stuff, my man. He's proud of me. He is definitely proud of me. He's finally proud of me. You're not just doing a service that nobody sees and just getting some data. No, it's also some cool stuff.
Yeah.
I can show my grandmother and I can tell her, look, this is what I do. Yeah, that's a big one. Try explaining to your grandmother what do you do when it's just services and data.
Yeah, can be tough. But yeah, get your priorities right. It's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And but time, is it, if the platform is ready, if it's stable, if it's just about time and not delay of everything like that. How you said, for example, in flows, actually we're thinking about offering an great teammate, Ankur. He's all on the front end, huge, strong opinions, working greatly with designers. He already took him on himself to add some small animations that actually enhance, like a graph naturally goes. We decided to go from top to bottom. You can go top to bottom, left to right, whatever. We went top to bottom, and maybe sometimes it's not that clear, especially if you have a complex graph, a complex set of data in front of you. He animated, but very subtly, the lines between the cards, how they go, how they flow from top to bottom, what is finished, what is not. You can view it, and there's it's about those small cues that you just take a look. Naturally, at the beginning, everything at the beginning for everyone could be daunting, especially if it's complex. But obviously, if you work with it, if you're a power user, you will get into those cues. And I truly believe that along the road, if you switch products or something like that, if it wouldn't have those cues, it will be harder for you. Because those small cues, I don't know, it can be a small green checkbox somewhere in a corner. It can be a small animation that goes from top to bottom, something like that. That's the magic. That's the secret recipe sometimes. It just offers you that simplicity and that ease of use, and then you never know it. Then you change products, and it's with everything in life, I believe. If you have a finance app or a social media or something like that, sure, some things are set in stone, notifications go the same places and everything like that. But other people, especially in complex products, when you can do it 1,000 ways, you have some specific stuff like, I'm not changing product just because that makes my life easier. I can look at my phone, one glance, I know the top priority things that I need to do. I know where I'm at. It takes me a second, half a second. Versus I get my phone out, let me look from top to bottom, think about it, get to it, so on and so forth. So that's where design and animations can definitely be a huge win in my eyes. Huge win. And the great thing is I can play around with it and find out. Yeah,
but workflows are definitely where I first noticed some nice sprinkle on top of the UI with those visual effects that you have, or I think this is opt-in functionality. You can choose, right, those sound effects and those.
And with the sound, I wanted to say that with the sound, that was actually Viliami just being super sporadic, and the designer, we talked about it, and it sounds a sound. It's nice, and we never talked about it, and I was like, okay, makes sense, it's cool, why not?
Do you know how many people actually use that?
The sound system, because it's toggled. I think majority of them. I never seen it toggled off, to be honest. Haven't checked the numbers as well. That would be very interesting.
Yeah, that would be super interesting. But is this on by default?
I believe so. I haven't checked, to be honest, but I think so.
Yeah, but it makes you feel good when you check something and you get feedback back. You know what I mean? Like,
makes your life easier, right? Oh, is it the toaster or is it my it's the task?
No.
Okay, it's the automated task.
No, but if you feel good about pressing that button, like I accomplished something.
It's the simple things. It's the simple things. One of the, and obviously designers would have known to tell us, and they will have a podcast and go deep into this, but I believe, I could be mistaken, but I believe Steve Jobs, right? Also, what did he do? He took something, right? Sure, it was different iterations, not successful. I believe he studied typography as well, if I'm not mistaken, or he was passionate about it. And that's what, as something as simple as typography, letters, how the letters are sharpened or rough, or the shape of them, and just put them on a blank white canvas, and they look good. And that effect stole a lot of people's eyes and said, wow, that's easy, that's clear, that's understandable. At the end of the day, I think that's our job, to make things easy, right? Life is complicated sometimes. Let's make it easy. I think all the jobs are like that. I think all of our lives should definitely be made more easier. Yeah, 100%.
But we should also channel the inner kids sometimes, and we should make things cool as well.
Yeah. Here's another one. The impact of progress over perfection on the UI. We have that principle. You know it. It's one of our core principles, progress over perfection. You can spend years on a button. You can spend an hour on a button and do a whole product in a week, maybe an MVP. will work wonders. But what do you think about that one? How would you weigh in the progress over perfection plus the UI? Would you ship something that is, I don't know, something rugged? Maybe you don't have the designer resources. Maybe you don't know yourself. How would you approach it, especially from an ECP perspective when you have end customers? So daily users, maybe all the people that are not that familiar with everything.
Yeah, that's a very relevant question for the new facelift as well, because we are now just deciding what do we want to ship, when do we want to ship it, right? So we are still working on this. No one is currently using that. What's that minimum lovable product, right? You want to get out.
Lovable, yeah, I love it.
Yeah. This is a very tough question to answer. This is not like that. Yeah, there is no hard and fast rule for this one. But I feel like, definitely from those priorities that we mentioned, making it work, making it so that it's simple enough, right, for your users. Those are the priorities. If you can accomplish that, and later on add on some sprinkle, right? That's fine. Like animations we mentioned, right? You don't really need that in the first iteration.
Especially if it's not stable. Don't do it. Never do that.
The experience needs to be consistent. For example, right? So you want to make sure you don't change just one thing and you leave the other things. Out of that, it's just But as soon as you feel like this is, but it's again about feeling, how you feel about it, right?
If it feels good.
It feels good. It needs to feel right.
Do you sometimes fight designers? Maybe designers might fight for, this is unacceptable, don't ship this from a designer standpoint, this shouldn't be good, shouldn't be done like this, let's delay the release until it's done. And you feel, obviously, from a functional product value, you feel like, it's good enough, something like that. Does that ever happen?
No, not really.
No?
I don't have any.
Whoa. Ideal
okay.
team, ideal synergy.
Well, then, but I feel like you have some experience with that.
We used to in the past. I mean, obviously, I've been for some time in the company, and we've had some people and some other opinions, and that's great. I mean, that's, I think, what usually empowers you when you have a lot of opinions, a lot of people, and the mistakes. Actually, at the end of the day, the mistakes help you grow the most. If you're always right, kind of becomes boring at one point. I'm always right. Yeah. Even life, if you're always right about anything, wants to live or something like that, right? But when you're wrong, when you bet everything on it, and then it's gonna be great, and it's horrible. We had a particular situation in the past as well. Some topics were led by designers, some topics were led by engineers, because we empower everyone to lead. And that's great over here as well, right? Product engineers, but not just product engineers, product designers, product people everywhere, and product ideas. And we want to, at the end of the day, again, it's about making life easier and more fluid, right? We had a situation in which we thought it was going to be good, and then we sort of divided between engineers, maybe designers, some opinions, and it went all of the ways. And I think we took all the possible wrong decision. We had a workflow orientation container. The idea was good. It was sort of a version of a dashboard that you can see and you can filter and everything like that, but it wasn't that used. It was a little bit overcomplicated. We were a little bit overzealous, spent too much time, didn't deliver in enough time, hence the progress over perfection. Took too much time, maybe went too far on the eye candy. Thank God we didn't have animations. Oof. I would have hated myself for that. But eventually we hit a whole run. It was valuable for something. And then we had to retire it. It was a good decision. We have now the dashboards, which is something more with the data lake. We're thinking with the graphs and with the flows. Again, more visualization for ease of use and having an overview and everything like that. We have crazy ideas and even a vision, right? Currently on the flows, I have a specific vision in mind. It's in my mind. And that's the funny thing. A lot of stuff, you're viewing something in your head, your brain is filling in the gaps. But until you put it on paper, you never know. And then you're saying, I think the graph should be like this, top to bottom, cars like this, boom, the interactivity. And then probably doesn't work out as you see it. And then you do a couple of iterations. Obviously, without the help of designers, it will never be as it should be, in my opinion. But then it finally checks out a little bit, or it's usable, or it's MVP. And then finally you put some awesome animations on top, and it's mature. To me, that's what maturity is. Maturity of a product, maturity of a feature, which is stable, usable, highly efficient, especially in my case, right? Highly efficient, highly valuable, saves time, saves clicks, and then it also looks good. And it looks, I remember, and here's a funny story. I remember I keep in touch with people that I collaborated with the past, stuff like that. And I always like to talk about what I'm working on. And I show them either the website, the glance of the portal and everything like that, the test use case or something like that. And one of the guys on a view, which I'm not necessarily a huge fan on. And again, I'm not a designer, so I cannot be taken by my word. The guy's like, wow, that looks beautiful. I'm like, really? Sure? Yeah, that looks good. That looks efficient. Like, sometimes you forget about this. You know, you're in the middle of it, you know. Maybe in the past you would have said, I would have loved to do that. And then I remembered what I used to work on another platform that I didn't have that much liberty. I wasn't in the position. I didn't have the experience, to be fair, to do something. The UI was horrible. We're talking, ERP stuff like that. Again, it was efficient. Nothing bad in that. And it was good. But it was old because people had to focus on other things and had to focus on the newer things and other parts of the platform. And that's also normal as well. It's not a bad thing. But from a UI standpoint and maybe from a look and feel standpoint, yeah, I wouldn't say I don't feel proud now. So it's good. It's good. I like it. I like the direction we're going. I like how we're putting a spin on things and how it's going in that thing. But yeah, always keep in mind progress over perfection. Speed, I would say. Speed. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you're in a similar position as we are. You want to basically rework core feature of 360 with flows. So you definitely have this problem as well, right? When do you ship it? Do you feel like this will be an easy decision to make?
Oh, no, it never is, honestly. It's a dread for me all the time. I mean, the key word is, and we used to have it in the past when I was younger, like we had the joke, when is it going to be done? Yesterday. Oh, man. If it's yesterday, it's probably not going to be good. But as soon as possible is always valuable, right? As soon as possible, especially if you're talking to clients, if you're selling it, if you're presenting it, you want to do good by your clients, right? You want to do good by your promises. That's why I think in our company, again, going back to the product engineer leadership, we want to be close. We want to be close to the complaints. We want to be close to, we don't want to have other support people or anything like that that just, oh, it's not usable. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't, no, I want to know. It doesn't feel good. Okay, great. Let me iterate. Let me change something. Let's spar again with designers. Let's see why it doesn't look good and everything like that. So close feedback, short feedback loop. It's essential in this one as well. But yeah, it's all about now that we're doing it. And even recently, you always make mistakes as humans. You always learn. I overestimated something, and then I realized, probably not gonna do that long. And even if it does, I don't think it should. Let's find a way, and that's always the sweet spot. And I think what makes our job harder, you need to be able to find the right balance between shipping, looking good, feeling good, usable. And sort of an MVP you can be proud of. In other words, I think this is a conclusion. Sort of an MVP that you can be proud of. And we're redoing this. We're doing this in a graph now with the flows and trying to combine everything, which is automatic now, manual journeys, and customer portal also. So we'll be talking a lot in the future as well in collaboration and how that one will work. Obviously, we want to make it seamless. We don't want like the journey or the end customer portal being in a certain design and feel iteration, that when you click the task from it that opens the journey, it's from one design to another. No, definitely not. Even if it's for the end customer portal, for the end customer, and then ours is a power user, we have to take everything into consideration. But to answer your question, how do we do it? Yeah, we try our best. And if it's not fast enough, we reiterate. I think retros, right, for you as well. How do you do it? With retros, everything like that. And I wanted to ask you, in your team though, how do you divide this? You have a new star player now, right? Gokul. He's definitely on the UI. He's a specialized guy. How do you divide this look and feel with the designer, with the front-enders, and are you all involved in this? Meaning all the product engineers have that good and feel, have talent towards this? Or do you more or less delegate it?
Yeah, but people can always decide what they want to work on, right? We try not to make assign things to different folks and force everyone to be good on the UI or force anyone to develop this feel for a good UI for a good product, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's completely necessary for you to have that. And I think it's fine if you have someone like Gokul who leads the
Specializes.
who specializes in that and can teach others if they want, right?
Yeah.
How can this be done? But anyone who wants to be part of the new facelift can be part of the new facelift.
Oh, you're in the middle. Yeah, I remember. You're in the middle of a facelift now.
Yeah, we are in the middle of the facelift.
And how is that experience, though? How is that? Is Gokul now fully driving that, or is all of you driving it? How's that going?
It's mostly Gokul right now because we are trying to shield Gokul from all of the production problems and all of that and all of the functionalities that we have to add to the new design, right? So we want him to focus, which means we have to focus on the old UI.
Yeah.
But we still try to help Gokul whenever we can. And we will slowly get more involved in the facelift, the rest of the team. Gokul leads the charge there, and I think that's fine. But eventually, I do expect everyone to contribute to that
be
at some
a player
point.
In this.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's not just journeys, and customer portals are configurable in terms of design, colors, right? How do you handle that? That's interesting to know as well.
Yeah, that one is that one can be really tough because you don't want. We already mentioned this. You don't want people to get hurt, hurt themselves, right?
Yeah.
You can choose some crazy colors, and then the portal wouldn't be really accessible. You wouldn't have enough contrast between elements, or if you are visually impaired in some other way, you have problems with distinguishing between different colors. Again, this could be a problem, right? So we need to strike the right balance between making things customizable and making things functional.
You want to give them the right to run, but not too much such that they get hurt.
And defaults need to be just right. Like defaults need to be great, and maybe you have a tiny bit of customizability, but not that much.
Yeah.
And then if you feel like you really want to customize things and you feel like you really know what you are doing, then you can do it. But
maybe put some switches there. Are you sure? I'm sure I know what I'm doing. It's not gonna look bad. Take my word from it. Oh, go back, reset.
But there are so many things you need to think about. It's just not about making this a different color, right?
To be honest, I've seen some beautiful journeys and end customers portals, and I've seen some ugly ones. But I do believe the ones which were ugly were testers of ours and like bright green and everything like that and stuff like that. But on that note, we have something similar with you, which is our graph. I hate, this is what I limited myself as well. I hate when you can put the graphs on the cards and you can move them freely. And if you move the below one after the one above and vice versa and spread them apart, the lines get crazy, like all of each other. You don't understand a thing. I hate that. So that's one thing I'm with you. I don't allow, and I'm really, really vouching for not allowing the user to change that. To just leave it like fixed places. You can spread as much as you want with fixed places, but you're going in the right direction.
Yeah, and if you give way too many configuration options to users, you also increase complexity.
Yeah, like exactly.
You cannot rely on some value that you think will be there, right? You have to always take into consider a wide range of options.
Exactly.
So it gets much harder on the UI to.
In the end of the day, it even makes our job harder, and even doesn't necessarily make the user's job easier or life easier, which is everything that's all about, in my opinion. Yeah. Jakub, I think we're getting close to an end. Thank you so much for talking about it. Do you have a last message, or maybe in this whole what does good taste and UI product feel and designers, all with a conclusion from your side?
Yeah. Thank you for the discussion. It was really interesting. And I like how we basically boiled it down to basically two things. You need to make things functional, but you also need to make your inner kid proud of what you are doing.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Thank you. Yeah, the inner kid. And for me, it's like make life simple. Let's make life simple. If we can. If we can't, let's also try to make life simple. That's it. Thank you so much for listening.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep.
You've been listening to the podcast for product engineers. Don't forget to subscribe and join us next time.